EA is currently deciding whether to save Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2, but to say it will be easy is very naive. From bringing back employees into the forgotten studio, to choosing which updates to add, to making sure they receive a profit, this will be one hell of a task. So that's why I'm here, a tiny YouTuber trying to guide a multi-billion-dollar corporation in the right direction. So let's get started. First of all, we need to address the biggest and most obvious problem, the lack of a workforce. Now, clearly, on paper, this seems quite easy. Just hire some new programmers or move some of your existing people to the studio. But like everything in life, that comes with a price tag, a hefty one. It's hard to know exactly how much it would cost as sources online vary quite a bit, but from the estimations I made in my last video, depending on what kind of update they do, it would cost anywhere from $39,000 to $200,000. Now, to some people, this might either seem like a lot of money or none at all, because if you look at EA's annual earnings last year, it was over $7 billion. But obviously, it isn't that simple. For a company to get as big as EA, they need to be smart with revenue, especially if they have shareholders, because investors want to know exactly how their money is being spent, even if it's just a few $1,000s. This fear of making any risks can be seen even clearer in the movie industry. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a movie that didn't have a number beside it, or a popular video game in the title, or a very familiar title, but the movie looks like it has RTX on? It's been a while. It comes with no surprise that EA has profit as their #1 priority. It just means they'll be more hesitant to make our wish come true, which is why we need to work hard to convince them of the better choice, and we have, but is it enough? I guess we'll never know. But enough about us. This video is about EA and their decisions. And speaking of decisions, EA has 6 of them, and the last one is as interesting as it is delusional. Each decision will become riskier than the last, which means at the end we'll have to decide where the sweet spot is, which EA would be best off doing to ultimately succeed. But starting with #1, they can tell us all that we're insane for ever believing that they would ever update this game and never talk to us again. This would be devastating, but unfortunately quite likely depending on how you see it. Their second option would be to fix some bugs and small problems. For example, in the game there's some achievements you can't unlock anymore because the content was removed. Another thing they should do is fix the hacker disaster in PC and just somehow make the servers more stable. These wouldn't necessarily be proper content updates, but they would make the game more playable and enjoyable for the average player. But the problem with an update like this is that although it would be cheap to make, it wouldn't necessarily bring in new players. It would just make the existing players happier, which in EA's eyes means zero profit. But anyway, their third option would be to improve the mystery portal rotation by bringing back game modes like Cats vs Dinos and Boss Hunt, and potentially, if they're in a good mood, maybe some entirely new game modes, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Another thing they could do is bring back stuff like the Century Pack, which has exclusive customizations in it, and they could bring back a way to get Unicorn Chomper, because right now you either have it or you don't. And obviously they could bring back more of the Garden Warfare 1 maps into the game just to make playing feel fresh. Community challenges would also be a cool event to take back people who quit the game years ago, which in EA's eyes will look like profit. But how much of it will be is anyone's guess. Their fourth option would be to bring in a full-on DLC. I'm talking new variants, entirely new maps, and a commitment to update this game for the foreseeable future. New variants they could add would be the old ones from Garden Warfare 1, and yes, I know they were a collaboration with another company, which means they probably wouldn't be allowed, so instead just give them a reskin. And if they don't want to do that, they could perhaps remake the Battle for Neighborville characters into Garden Warfare 2, which might bring in what's left of the Battle for Neighborville player base. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that a new DLC could be a great opportunity to put in what worked best for each game all into one. A decision like this could funnel all Plants vs Zombies shooter fans into one game, which would inevitably make a decent profit, and give us a larger sense of community instead of arguing over which game was best. Like I said, to do this, here's what they would need to do. Add all or most of the Garden Warfare 1 maps along with the variants, and add the new Battle for Neighborville characters along with maybe the upgrade system, as it fostered a lot of creativity. This would be perfect to reunite the community, and speaking of community, another thing they could do to make us all feel together would be to add cross-platform gaming. To this day, I still don't understand why they never bothered to do this. And it's not like it's impossible to do this. Other games made in the same engine have cross-platform gaming, so as long as they fix the hacker problem, this would be revolutionary. And speaking of problems, their fifth choice would cause a lot of them. And it would involve updating the game, just not the right one. Maybe EA could think to themselves that updating Battle for Neighborville would be better, as it is much newer than Garden Warfare 2. The only issue would be the absolute protests that commence, because updating Battle for Neighborville would be the equivalent of polishing a car that's been wrapped around a tree. And I'm not saying the battle for Naperville sucks or anything, I used to play it a lot, maybe a little too much, but the issue is that there's just too many quirks that people hate about it, which is why it would be easier to just go with the canvas that everyone already likes. And now onto their sixth option. Lately in my comments section I've been seeing many comments saying the same thing. They might as well make a Garden Warfare 3. Now, although it is tempting to wish for such a dream, let's put reality first for a second. Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2 is widely agreed to be a AAA game. So let's see how much it would cost on average to make another one. The maximum cost of any previous choices would be like $500,000 tops, so when you go to my comment section saying that they should just cough up hundreds of millions at will, I do laugh a little, I'm sorry. So now that I've laid out all of their decisions, it's time for them to decide which would be most profitable, and I've made graphs to represent this. So from at least what I can tell, the sweet spot would be the third option, as it wouldn't be too expensive, but would have the capabilities of bringing back a large sum of players, leading to a high profit. But hey, that's just my opinion, and speaking of opinions, there's been many people in my comments section that have brought good ideas. For example, Mintizaki7368, who wrote a lot about small bugs that they could fix along with additions like a party variant for every character. So, if you have any ideas or suggestions you would love to see, write them in the comments, and if you disagree with anything said in this video, I suppose you could perhaps maybe for some reason type away in the comment section too, if you so feel that thou must above all else. But anyway, if you want to see the actual likelihood of EA saving Garden Warfare 2, click this video here, and bye.